You've all heard the stat, 50% of marriages end in divorce. And 45, 50, you see the numbers, kind of 43 maybe. It doesn't matter. It's over 40, around 50. In this video, we're talking to business owners, entrepreneurs, founders who are married and the levers that they can pull to reduce their chances of getting divorced. We've been married for 19 years and are happily married. Happily married and never been divorced. So it's not like we're experts. We don't have a perfect marriage. We have a marriage like everyone else, but we do things to try to reduce it. And so this video is to show you ways in which if you're a business owner or if you're a wife of a business owner, things that you can encourage him or I guess a husband and the wife runs the company, her to do to pull the levers that they have at their disposal to lower the odds of divorce. And so let's get into it. The first one is lack of commitment or absence. And they kind of go hand in hand because if you're gone a lot, it can feel like you're not committed. But from my perspective, as you know, the breadwinner, if you would use that term, I felt like, okay, I've got to go do these things. And what was astonishing was so of those people that got divorced, if you're on the road 60 days or more a year, it increases your chances by 75%. So it increases your odds by 75% if you're going 60 days a year. That's not that many. I used to travel more than that, right?
Way more than that.
Did you think about divorcing me when I was gone?
We're not going to talk about that. 60 days was a lot.
Okay, so I think the struggle here is, from my perspective, I feel like I had to do that. And I did have to do it sometimes, for sure. And then sometimes I feel like I just had to make sure things were working. But did it feel like I wasn't committed to you? Or how did that feel? How did it hit you? Might be a way to ask that question.
So it feels like the priorities are out of order a little bit. I mean, I understand that to the man, it's I have to do this. Like, this is part of my job, and to provide for my family and to make my family happy and give them these things, I have to do this. That's kind of how the man thinks about it. The wife thinks about it like, well, you know, couldn't you figure out another way to where you possibly wouldn't have to do this? So that's kind of how I think about it. I mean, yes, there are obligations, but it's a lot for the mom at home to really see the full picture whenever she's in there grinding all by herself.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I think in some of the stuff we'll talk about here in a minute, will tie into this, especially as we get into ways to work together better. Being gone, I think back about it, you don't really realize how tough it might be on mom because you're not dealing with baths, bedtimes, homework, soccer practice, whatever it might be, and the constant juggling of stuff, dinner. You're on the road, you go get something to eat, you know, at least I would go, maybe take a client out, and then you come back to the hotel and you go to bed. And so for you, it's just kind of like, oh, this is what you got to do. And it's hard to really see how hard it might be on the spouse because the spouse is living that reality. And so even though it might appear like there's a lack of commitment from the male side or the entrepreneur side, we'll say, it didn't feel that way for me. But looking back, I go, yeah, I can see that because now that I'm home a lot more, I can see how much more work that you were doing that I didn't realize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so another reason is obviously infidelity. And so infidelity, you know, you don't have to work, 40 plus hours a week to have an affair. But the more you're gone, the more you're away from home, and the less that you're around your spouse, those odds increase. And so if you've made a commitment to work really hard, that's honorable. But also you have to be careful because the more you're gone, the more temptations there, the more things that can come your way. And the next thing you know, I mean, we watched a video the other day of a woman talking about her infidelities, and it was kind of silly, to be honest with you, how she was talking about it because what happened? She had an alcohol problem maybe, and she stopped drinking, and then she started drinking, and then she cheated on her husband once, and then she did like multiple times, right?
Yeah, she had previously been an alcoholic. She's recovered, and then she took a position being on the road all the time, and then she ended up in these rooms with, men and without her spouse, and then she picked up the bottle and started back up, and before she knew it, she had cheated on her spouse multiple times, but didn't want to recognize that, or didn't even see, or claim she didn't even see the picture that being on the road was the main problem.
Yeah, it was the road, it was the alcohol, it was the environment she put herself in. And so it started with the road, right? Because at least according to that video, it wasn't happening at home. But when she's on the road, she would go have drinks, and next thing, and she even said that she'd wake up in dude's bed, she didn't know their name. It was like, well, okay. And so,
Yeah.
I'm not getting into substance abuse and all the impacts of that. I'm just simply saying there's a clear correlation from her talking about going on the road, going to the bar, being around a bunch of people, and then having drinks, and then next thing you know, she's in some dude's bed. She didn't know their name. It's like, well, okay. First off, again, if you're an employee and you got to travel, there's not much you can do about it. I get that. Talk to your boss, maybe. But if you're a business owner, first off, be careful about putting your employees in those situations. You don't want to ruin their marriage, so try to reduce their travel as much as you can. But it's part of business. We have to travel. That's part of it. But as a business owner, realizing that if you're not trying to protect your employees in a way, not making them travel so much, but then B, if you're not hiring someone to reduce your chance of this happening to you, then you need to get to the spot to go, okay, well, how do I hire a sales team that doesn't have to travel as much, maybe better marketing and stuff like that we talked about in a different video, but also, how do I hire someone so that they can travel? Or do I have to go to every conference and every client meeting? Because I used to get a call from a client and they wanted to meet, and I'd just pack up and go.
Yep.
I just pack up and go. It didn't matter what was going on unless we had something I couldn't miss. If someone said they could meet, I was out the door. And so 60 days a year was definitely something I didn't have enough here. So I'm just saying it didn't happen. So it's not guaranteed to happen, but it is a lever that you can pull, and you can pull that in a way that helps the chance of your marriage surviving.
And just eliminating that door being opened, just trying to cut that possibility out. So.
Yeah. And then the other thing is substance abuse. We touched on this kind of that last one, but substance abuse, again, you go to those conferences and there are events, there's networking events, and then there's kind of a spectrum. There's the teetotalers who don't have anything to drink, and then there's the people who are probably alcoholics or borderline alcoholics that are there, and then there's a spectrum. And so in those rooms, you find yourself being okay to do whatever it is that you want to do. You can be a teetotaler or you can be the alcoholic. There's no real judgment on you. And so if you're continually in those environments and you have a problem or a potential problem, then it's easy to go from the teetotaler all the way over to the problem. And now you find yourself to where not only on the road are you drinking a bunch, maybe at home you're drinking a bunch, you bring those things back to you, or you don't do something simple like you're out drinking and so you don't call and check in with the family. You don't see how dinner went, how bedtime went, or how school went. And so you prioritize those things because you're out drinking, you're out having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and looking back, we used to have conferences we'd go to, and there'd be parties and stuff you go to, and those sometimes would go to 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and what's the old saying goes, nothing good happens after 12 o'clock, right? And so
No.
you're increasing the odds just by doing these things. And these are things, as a business owner, you have the ability to mitigate. You have the ability to reduce the times that this stuff happens to you. Not saying never travel, not saying any of that stuff. I'm just saying that you have the ability to reduce it. So if 60 days is a lot, which I did the math on it, it's like, 13% of the year, something like that. It's not a lot. I'm not good with math in my head, so we'll say 13%. Whatever it is, do the math at home. It's not a lot. It's just not that a lot. But it boosts it to 75%. And then you add in alcohol. You add in the feeling from the spouse of you're not committed because you're not only are you traveling, then you're traveling, maybe you're going to parties, you're going to do these events, you're taking clients out to dinner, and so then all of a sudden, all of these factors are compounding against you, and it's easy to think that you're committed because you're out there. I used to, and if you're a former client, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I used to take former clients out to dinner, and the food was amazing, but they were terrible. Like I didn't. Only reason I was going to meet with them was because we're trying to get work from them. I could care less what happened to them, because that wasn't the relationship. The relationship was we needed them to hire us for work, and then, we did the project, and that was going on. And so I was just there with them for dinner. But from your perspective, it probably didn't feel that way.
Nope. It was, he's going to dinner, he's eating great things, and, like the last video, we're at home eating chicken nuggets and doing homework and doing all the things, and he's living it up, and yes, he had to do it for work, but at the same time, I don't know, your perspective looks different when you're the spouse at home and you're the one that's in the thick of that. So
yeah, it's tough because I'm thankful for those past clients, but I wasn't thankful that I had to take them out to dinner, right? I wasn't thankful for that. And now, if a client wants me to take them out to dinner, then it would be really like, oh, okay. It'd be built around a certain type of situation. So if I'm coaching someone, maybe we're doing like a full day intensive or something like that. And so it's part of the process. This was strictly just to make a sale. There was no value. It was just so they would hire us. Like I wasn't adding any value beyond that, and we do the work. And so it's kind of a weird thing to look back, and I'm sure a lot of business owners feel this way, which is you're taking the client out. Not that you want to be their best friend, but you have to build that relationship. And then the wife's at home going, "Oh man, I'm having refried, double baked chicken nuggets again." And it's like, okay, well, Vic and Anthony steaks or wherever the places we go, that's really good, but I'd rather be at home. The other thing is that, so we said substance abuse, infidelity, lack of commitment. The other thing I think, and we'll talk about this in a second, is just the affection, right? It becomes hard to be affectionate, and you can say I love you or something like that. But what are some tips that you would say for the men who are watching this, going, oh, I've got to travel. Like I'm just not in a spot. I can't afford to hire someone, and until we grow, how do they make sure that the wife feels appreciated and the commitment is to the marriage, but right now this is just where they're at?
I would say that whenever you are present and you are at home, be over the top helpful. Make sure, make it a point to love on your kids more. Make it a point to help with dinner. Make it a point to help with homework more. Make it a point to help fold some laundry. Whatever that might be. Hey, can I go pick up groceries for you? All those small things on the spouse are really big things actually to her. May not seem like to you, but they are to her. So there's that. And, I'm not saying just show up and be the maid, but I'm saying show up and pull your part. Like, pull your part. Give her a reprieve while you're home.
Yeah, that's a great point because, coming home, it's just, from my perspective, I was just coming home, right? I left on Monday, come home on Thursday. Now we're back to normal. And I didn't really realize all that had happened Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I mean, we talk, but it just not being there. And so, yeah, no, that's a great point. Something I probably didn't do very good at for a long time, if ever, was when you come home, realizing that you do need to step up to help your spouse and let them know that you are committed, that you do have to do these things right now, but when I'm here, I'm going to do the best I can to make you feel better about what's going on.
And your kids see you doing those things. Your spouse is going to acknowledge those things, and it's going to stand out to her. But the kids also are watching. And mom being able to get a nap, that's a big deal. So,
Do you want a nap?
Most days. Sometimes.
A nap? I mean, take a nap when you want to.
Okay, well, you think about this. So if you take a business owner working 60 hours a week instead of the normal 40 hours a week, that's like 3,000 extra hours a year that the business owner is working and away from the family. So yeah, the moms need a nap. That's a lot of hours that she's still pulling by herself.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so let's talk about now, one of the things we're doing with the Time Back Boardroom is helping business owners get the time back so they can grow their business or spend time with their family. Hopefully both, actually, is the goal. And so a few things when we did some research on this topic about marriages that last came up. And so the first thing is, some of them kind of overlap, but I've got them listed out. There's, 8 things, I think, on the board over there. 8 things. So the first one is commitment. And so I think going off of the stuff we just talked about, the negative things, the things that can hurt a marriage, how would then you express commitment to your spouse on the marriage? So obviously reducing the time you travel and stuff like that is one way to express, to show commitment. But also, now that you say you took those 20 hours and you brought them home, what are things that you could do to show that you are committed?
Things he could do would be like schedule on his calendar. Hey, on this day, we're doing this. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. We're doing this. Like, we're going to have a family night. We're going to play games, have dinner, whatever. Just having a block and intentionally keeping that block. So there'd be that expresses the commitment. Date nights with the spouse. Planning vacations. We've talked about some of those things. Having those things on the calendar. And just not moving from that stance of, hey, these things are my real priorities. And if I'm just going to try my best to not change these things, because this is actually where my heart is first.
Hold on, my phone just buzzed. It says, "Give wife a kiss."
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Do things like that.
It didn't say that.
No,
listen.
but
I was trying to, guys. Just when they say something, just do it. So that was it. Okay, loyalty. This is tough because there's a lot of ways you can express loyalty, and what a man might view as loyal is, for going back to what we're talking about. Me going having dinner with those clients to traveling projects was kind of loyal to the family because we needed, paycheck, we needed income, and so that's a perspective of where loyalty, from my perspective, is like, oh, I am being loyal. I'm going and doing these things. But what are some other ways in which men or even women, of course, can express loyalty to the marriage?
I would start with send sweet text, encourage her. Do small things like that throughout the day, or, on random days, whatever. Or even send somebody to clean the house for her. Get on DoorDash and send a meal to where she doesn't even have to think about dinner. Things like that will go a long way and show that, okay, even though he's not here, he's loyal to helping me despite the fact. Like he's trying to make this as easy as possible for me.
I'm glad you're making a list of all the things I didn't do. This is good.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
This is good. Okay, so the next one was what I'm going to say I'm not good at. It's quality communication. And so when I was traveling, it was primarily Drew and Ellicate were, 2 and 4, 3 and 5, and they would sound the same on the phone. It was really hard just to distinguish. And I don't think you appreciate that till you went out of town one time. You're like, hey, who's talking? It's like, yep, it's hard to tell. But also, it's just like, okay, I've had meetings, I've done stuff. I gotta decompress. People think I'm an extrovert, but actually, I'm an introvert, and so I can go out and be loud and fun and all that stuff. But when I'm done, I'm kind of like, I need to check out for a bit. So quality communication on the road is tough. It was tough for me. So maybe both sides. What does quality communication look like on the road, and then when you're back home?
So communication, I would say, okay, if you need to decompress after you come in from a meeting or something, like communicate that with your spouse, because like we talked about earlier, if you aren't communicating and you're gone and she can't get in touch with you, okay, well, our minds go places that we don't need them to go. Okay, let's just get that out there on the table. You don't want your spouse's mind to go there. So just text and say, hey, I just got to the room and I just need to, catch up on an email or whatever and decompress for 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. Well, then in 30 minutes, you need to call her and you need to, make sure that you don't lay any doubt in her mind. So I would say communicating the things that you had mentioned earlier about decompression, coming in and doing that. So.
Okay. And so a business owner hears this, goes, okay, great. I'm going to quit traveling. Now I'm at home. What does quality communication look like now they're home? Because it's easy to think, it's on some level, it's almost easier to say when you're on the road, do these things. But then when you're home, it's kind of, if you're not intentional about it, you can kind of forget you still got to do it at home.
I guess just making sure that you communicate with each other, hey, this is this day and this is what we have going on. Because just because you're home, you don't get to check out. You still need to be intentional in saying, hey, have a family calendar on the wall or a Google Calendar where everybody is in sync together. He knows when the soccer games are or the football games are. He knows when everything is, and he needs to know he's going to be there, and that's on him to check that. You can remind him, but just having those things on the calendar. Communicating by text. We use WhatsApp a lot because then I can actually tell if he read the message. So, yeah, use your WhatsApp if you need to. You can tell if he read it. Kind of just, I feel like staying in sync with calendars is huge. And then, like you said earlier, just send each other sweet text messages. Lay those seeds in their mind for later, whatever it might be. I
think you said a key word, which is intentional, right?
Absolutely.
And so, I think I'm more intentional about giving you a hug than you are intentional about giving me a hug. Fair?
Yes, our love languages are totally different.
But I'm saying like that's something that I'm intentional to do. And so part of this intentional communication, whether you're on the road or at home, is probably having a conversation like, how, this is when I'm doing, like you used to say, well, when I did this meant that, it meant that. I'm like, oh, I didn't take it that way at all. And so understanding that there's things that might be intentional, there might be quality, but the other spouse might not view it that way simply because they don't know. And it takes a while to kind of remember that, but that's a process. And so we're talking about quality communication. Well, part of it is, oh, you clean the bedroom. Okay, to me that didn't mean anything, but for you that was your way of showing that you love me and stuff like that. So the quality can be the things that you're doing, but also expressing this is why I'm doing this, so that they understand the meaning behind it.
So when your husbands do something big, like they get a big project or something, they want an attaboy, okay? Just like we want an attaboy if we made their absolute favorite meal and they came home, we want them to acknowledge that we did something huge too, and we need an attagirl. So there's that communication.
Attagirl.
Attagirl. I mean, that's a big deal too. So
this one's a tough one because mutual respect. So if you're on the road, I think it's hard to go, what's happening at the house, because I'm not there, so you wouldn't know what's happening there. And because no one's perfect, there's going to be things that if it was you on the road and me at home, there's going to be things that I'm going to do or decisions I'm going to make that you wouldn't have made and vice versa. And then there's the kids and life. And so how do you go about, from your perspective, showing the respect both ways? Because in part, some of it is, being sympathetic. And then sometimes it's just, okay, this is what it is. We just got to deal with it. So how do you go about balancing that out, you think?
So sometimes if your husband is gone and he is in the thick of a big meeting or whatever, and your kid is just, or your world's just crumbling, okay? You're at home and your world's just crumbling around you. He doesn't need you to text him that it's all broken loose on the home front, because that doesn't do any good for him.
Hold on. That's a great point. Let me pause you there. Yes. So women, I would say that, as your husband is hopefully working on coming home more and stuff like that, it becomes, there's multiple things. There's things in the business world that he's dealing with. And then when you put the stress of things are falling apart at home, it becomes hard for him to focus on one or the other. And he has to pick because he can't balance this meeting I got to focus on, and this is going on. And so what happens is one side will feel neglected, work or home. And depending on if that's home, then the wife might feel like she's being neglected, and the husband's just simply trying to focus on this. He can't focus on that right now. If there's nothing you can do about it, he can't focus on it. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. It also means that he's got to focus on this right now because this is how he's paying the bills. But once that meeting's over, how does that play out?
So once you touch base afterwards, say, hey, when you catch your breath, I need you to address this. Or, hey, can we talk about ways that we can improve this? Because this has been happening and I haven't brought it to your attention until now. Can we work on getting this fixed? So instead of just blah, all at one time, like you said, whenever he's in the thick of something over here and you're making him have to pick one or the other in that moment. And that doesn't incentivize him to come home that it's all breaking loose. He goes, I don't want none of that right now. I can't handle that too. That's maybe that's how he feels.
Or maybe he cuts the business trip short to be home and it was just a bad 5 minutes, right?
Right.
He changes plans. Mm-hmm. And so it's tough. It's hard because in that moment, the wife's, the world's falling apart, but also trying to figure out how to communicate that in a way. And I think you got to have conversations about that. Like, hey, when this is going on, you said to have the calendars on the Google Calendar, so you can see when he's in meetings and stuff like that. But as you come home and you're home more, it becomes a little bit easier to unpack that stuff because now it's like, okay, you're going to do this. There's certain things around the house that you do, and certain things around the house I do, and whatever. There's this. It's a little bit easier to figure that stuff out. And the next one is teamwork, but that kind of goes hand in hand with mutual respect, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain things that, well, we got 2 grills. So we got a Traeger and we got a Blackstone. Right now, I'm ashamed to admit it, but you're the Blackstone queen. Like, you've got the Blackstone cooking. I'm not the Blackstone person. I got the Traeger down. I can do the Traeger. Mm-hmm. And so that's an easy teamwork kind of example where if we're cooking something, and hopefully in a future video I can talk about me being the Blackstone king, but right now I'm not. In a future video, I might say that. But right now, the teamwork is if we got a Blackstone meal, we know that you do that, and if it's Traeger, then I'm going to do it. And it's pretty. There's no ambiguity there, right? And so the better you can lay out the things that you're going to do and she's going to do, and then you go back to the mutual respect, I appreciate when you're on the black zone, and you appreciate when I'm on the trigger, because that's not something you can do. And so build that process of trust and going back to communication. All these are tied together on some level. The next one is your favorite, forgiveness.
That's my favorite.
And I mean, I think one thing we try to stress around here is there's forgiveness in our culture has been relegated to saying I'm sorry, and we don't do that here. So if I accidentally bump into you, walk around the house, I didn't mean to, I'll say I'm sorry. It was an accident. I was just sorry. If I do something against you, if I sin against you, if I wronged you, then I say, this was not right. Please forgive me for that. That's not acceptable. And I think when you talk about forgiveness, that what happens a lot of times is we say we're sorry when we really need forgiveness. And it's tough because you've got to take the ownership that you were wrong. Like, you shouldn't have done that. And again, sorry is, I missed your call earlier. Sorry I missed your call. I was tied up. Right? And so
It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose.
If it's on purpose, then it looks different.
Yeah. There was no intentionality to it. And even you gotta be kind of careful emphasizing that, because there are things that you should realize you should be doing that you're not doing. So, but as a general rule, if you bump into someone, you drop something, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. If you do something, overt, intentional, as you said, then it's forgiveness. And I think one thing that, if you're watching this video and you're going, man, I need to be at home more, then, and you haven't thought about it, I'm sorry right now, right? Mm-hmm. Right? I'm sorry. I haven't thought about this. Now that I'm aware of this, I'm going to work on this. Mm-hmm. That's not the same as being made aware of some of these facts and stats, and just as your marriage is tougher potentially, then saying you're sorry because you were made aware of it and you do have the ability to change it. Now, everyone's not in this spot, so we're not trying to say that this is for everyone. We understand that there's life.
But if you are in the spot, you need to implement.
Yeah, if you are in the spot and you love your spouse, why would you not try to do these things? And so, but the other thing I'll say is, on the forgiveness thing, especially for the men, is if you want your wife, because the wife's not going to be perfect when you're gone or at home or whatever, you got to start by saying, forgive me for being wrong. And it's tough. And so what the line that I'll use sometimes is, please forgive me, that wasn't acceptable. Like, and there's no excuse for it. And I'll say that it sucks every time I say it, but also it's true, right? It sucks, but it's true. And so I want it to be communicated that I did this and I shouldn't have, and there's no excuse for it. So the next one is affection. Now, affection's tough because we joked earlier about the love language stuff and stuff like that. But affection's important. It's something that, especially when you're traveling and you're gone or you're working late at the office, you can't be affectionate because you can't. I don't know if you can see on hand, we can't hold hands. You can't do stuff like that. And so, but affection is one of those ways in which, even if the other spouse is not that affectionate, being affectionate to them shows them that you love them.
Yeah, and the last thing that you want is to not show your spouse when they are at home, to not show them affection, or even, and that's just an affirmation thing for them. Okay, yes, she does still love me. Yes, like, I know I'm working a ton, but I'm still needed. She still has these desires, stuff like that. So just making time to show affection, even if it's just a hand holding while you drive to go pick up the kids from school, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
So,
and one of the easiest hacks I've learned and try to get better at is, anytime I go to the store, what do I do?
he brings me back a treat. Right? Isn't that it?
Okay. No, like if I go like Kroger or H-E-B, what do I bring you back? I'm not doing a good job. Wow. Okay. I thought I nailed this one. Flowers was what I was thinking.
Oh, yes. He'll bring back flowers.
Yeah,
but
you can see how important.
But I thought he meant like if he goes to the gas station.
No.
If he goes to the gas station, I get a candy bar.
Candy bar.
Obviously, I like candy more than flowers.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. When I go to Kroger, you get a candy bar next time.
Okay.
So, no, but if I go to the grocery store, I would say 9 times out of 10, I bring back flowers.
Yeah.
Right. Do I like flowers? Don't care anything about flowers.
Double the candy.
But she likes flowers, and so maybe now it's going to be candy. The final thing here is, and we'll bring this to a close on this one, is determination. I think, when I was thinking about this video and kind of listening at some of this stuff, some of them overlap, but determination is So important. And so if you are in the spot to where you can pull some of these levers to improve your marriage, the Time Back Boardroom is not a marriage counseling device. It's not what it's there for, but it is there to give time back. So that, as I said earlier, you can grow your business or you can spend time at home. There's no reason you can't do both, actually, but if you want to categorize them. But you've got to be determined. And marriage is hard. We've been married 19 years. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. You buy flowers and she forgets about it. So there's that. But determination. I think that's the big thing here. And as you go back through and you go, man, this would be hard to do. This would be hard to do. This would be hard. Yep, it might be hard to do. You've got to show that determination to get there. And talking to owners about what's going on, and there's so much stuff out there. And I think where I've kind of landed on this debate is because we have access to great business people today on the internet, YouTube, whatever it might be, they will talk about stuff, and the game that they're playing is just different than what most business owners have to play. And so if you want to scale rapidly, you want to grow rapidly, you can do that. That's nothing wrong with that. I've got a video about that. So you can do that. But for most business owners, they're going to a small business in their community. Maybe it's nationwide. Do $1 million, $3 million, $10 million a year. And really, what they've missed out on is when you get to that point, if you're making $750,000 a year, or $1 million a year, or 1.5, whatever it might be, $2 million, $500,000, the ability for you to restructure your business and should make you some more money so that you can be home more. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. What the problem is, from my perspective, is the game that we are sold by people who are ahead of us is the game that they're playing. And if that's the game you want to play, then more power to you. Nothing wrong with that. We help people with that. But for this specific thing, and we'll link to the comments below so you can check it out, it's for people who are, they're at the spot where they're like, you know what, I'm making enough money. I want to be home more. Or I want to, I'm home enough. I'm home 40 hours a week, but I need to grow my business more. I'm just in the weeds. And so I think we think about determination. It's the willingness to say, okay, the game that I want to play is I want to be a master at this game. So the game that I want to play, Ryan wants to play, is one that allows me to be at home, help other entrepreneurs, do that kind of stuff. And the game that I want my clients to play is either A, they're want to rapidly scale, and okay, that's fine, or B, they're trying to figure out how do they work in their business more or be home more. And I just think that the messaging across the board is it's this type of messaging you get because those people are the most popular. And I'm not hating on Hormozy, or we read Hormozy books, or Vaynerchuk, or not hating on any of those guys. I'm just saying you got to realize that the game they're playing is just a different game. There's no right or wrong game to play. It's just a different game. And so if this resonates with you, then you can check out the comments, the thing below. Go ahead.
And I wanted to add, so with us working together, we know a lot of business owners. You've talked to hundreds of business owners in the last year or two. And every time I turn around, he'll say, "Hey, do you remember so-and-so? Yeah, I talked to them and they're getting a divorce." And it just breaks my heart. I don't personally know them like he knows them, but I know their name. I know what they do. And, I don't even know if they have kids most of the time, but chances are they probably do. And that just saying, in the business world, for whatever reason, the probability is higher. There is a lot of stress. Not saying there's not stress for those that aren't, but there's a lot more stress, like the things that we talked about in this video. So, yeah.
Yep. And it's sad. It's sad. We've known people close to us. My parents were divorced when I was younger, and so it's nothing fun. And again, this is not divorce counseling, so don't join the Time Back Boardroom for divorce counseling. Maybe one day, if she actually loves me, we'll talk about a course on that. But for now, it's just simply about how do you reduce the time so that you're not traveling or you're not working 60 hours a week. How do you do that stuff? So if you're a man and a business owner and you've watched the end, thank you for that. Again, the Time Back Boardroom stuff will be below. If you're a spouse and your husband's gone and he's working 60 hours, then maybe this is right for him, and you can share the information with him. It has a Google Doc with all the information, and then if you have more questions, you can book a 15-minute call. The reason for that, and I'll stop yapping, is we're trying to give you back time. And so the last thing we want to do is to book you for an hour to do a sales pitch. You should come to the call with 2 or 3 questions that makes it a go, no-go, not a 45-minute sales process. And so we're recording these videos. We put all this stuff out here so you can understand what we're about, what we believe. Anyways, so thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you made it to the end. If not, I totally understand. It's a long video, but we will see you. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know if she will be, though.